It's time now for Entre Nous, and with never-ending to-do lists, pressure to do well at work and be present for family and friends, it's no surprise that women often complain of living in survival mode, worrying about disappointing the people around them, suffering from physical symptoms linked to stress and exhaustion. Well, this is something that psychologist Nicola Jane Hobbs wanted to change. She's written a book called The Relaxed Woman: Reclaim Rest and Live an Empowered, Joy-Filled Life. And now it exists in French. Une femme reposée est une femme libre. She joins us now to speak about this. Thank you very much, Nicola, for being with us. I have to start, though, by saying, I imagine that when you tell a very stressed, busy woman to relax, it doesn't always go down very well. It's something women instinctively dismiss or reject. So what exactly do you mean when you say a relaxed woman?
So I think what you bring up is a really beautiful point. So many of us have been on the go for so long, and there's so many kind of really beautiful but also quite reductionist messages about just relax and just take things a bit easier. But when I speak about a relaxed woman, it means a woman who is free. So we have the freedom to make choices about our lives rather than feeling pushed and pulled around by society's idea of success or by those critical voices that are in our heads. So relaxed originally comes from the word to release, to liberate, to set free. And that's what I really hope to get across for women in the book.
All right. Well, before we talk about how we can get to that point of feeling free, tell us more about why there's so much pressure on women to do it all. Where does it come from? I mean, I've heard some say that it's women themselves who are creating these unrealistic goals and expectations.
I think it's a combination. I think many of the goals and expectations we've internalized from society. And you use that word, the phrase, to do it all. And I think so many of us have absorbed these cultural messages that we should be able to work and we should be able to manage our families and exercise and keep a clean house and kind of nurture a social life as well. And we've kind of forgotten that actually we are human beings and we have needs for rest and for recovery. And if we can begin to tap back into those biological needs and the signals of our body to rest and recover, it will help us begin to prioritize that, not just individually but culturally as well.
So tell us then about the kinds of steps one can take to get to that point. You mentioned a journey in your book.
Yeah, and it is a journey. I think it's so easy, even with something with like rest and relaxation, to turn it into another goal we have to achieve or another pressure we place on ourselves. But I think one of the most simple ways that we can begin our journey is firstly by slowing down. So many of us spend our lives rushing, even when there isn't any immediate deadline. And when we live from that place of urgency, it sends a signal to our nervous system that we're being chased and that we're in danger. So by doing something as simple as by slowing down, whether it's our breath or the speed at which we're typing an email or the speed at which we're walking or doing the laundry or the washing up, that can send a really powerful healing signal to our nervous system that it's safe for our stress response to switch off so that we can begin to relax.
And if we talk about telling women to, let go of or delete one or two things from their to-do lists, often this means giving those responsibilities to someone else, letting someone else pick up on that. How can women get other people to do their part? And this might be, for example, in the dynamic of a heterosexual relationship.
So I think a lot of women, we carry our to-do lists, our load mentally. So we have this really heavy mental load. And actually what we can begin to do is place our to-do lists somewhere public. Maybe we'll get a blackboard or a whiteboard that we can write on. Or just use a list and stick it on the fridge so that everyone in the household knows what needs to be done rather than us carrying it all internally. But I think there's also a sense of when we've been conditioned to be so independent, it can actually be really difficult to accept that help, even when it's there. So, actually, nurturing that part of ourselves that can receive and that can ask for help can also be a really healing way of allowing us to just release a bit of that pressure so that we can relax a bit more.
And as I said, your book is out in French as well. It shows this kind of universal phenomenon of women pushing themselves and needing to relax. Do you think that this is exactly a universal theme?
Well, when I did my research, I spoke to women from all over the world, and there was this same kind of echo of feeling guilty for resting, and it didn't really matter what, as a psychologist, as a therapist, what they were coming to me for support was. There was this same ripple of women tying their worth to their productivity or to how much they self-sacrificed. And so I think it is this kind of universal phenomenon that women are finding it more difficult to rest. And so I think if we can tip things the other way, then we can create that this kind of ripple effect of relaxed
In,
women where
indeed.
universally it becomes, yeah.
Indeed, Nicola Jane Hobbs, thank you very much for that. Unfortunately, we'll have to leave it there, but to our viewers, they can check out more Entre Nous or watch back this episode on our website at france24.com.